All right. We are going live right now. All right, we are live on my channel. Nice. I'm sure you guys can see it on your Zoom. Oh wow, Gloria, you're everybody can see that.
Bad. I'm here.
All right, you guys ready?
Do it.
All right, what's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? We are live. Welcome to that session of the Goblin Cloud Podcast. My name is Will. I am the host of this show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Real quick, before we start the show, drop a comment. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. I'm all the way from San Francisco. We got some beautiful guests from all around the world. So let me know where you guys are tuning in from. So thank you so much, all my supporters out there that watch my channel, subscribe to my channel, always send me those super chat donations. Thank you so much for every single show. Much love to you guys. But real quick, go ahead and press that like and subscribe button real quick. If you love the content, if you enjoy this podcast, I do it every single Saturday, every single weekend. Please take some time and like and subscribe real quick. Don't forget, guys, real quick, don't forget. You guys also can send your super chat donations for everybody that always send me super chat donations for podcast. Thank you so much. So during the live show, you guys can participate. You guys can drop a comment. If you have a specific question, if you're watching this for the first time and not familiar how I run the show, if you're watching this for the first time and you want us to answer a specific question or topic you guys want us to discuss during the live show, send it through a super chat donation, and I'll be able to read your comment live during the show and ask it directly to the guests, to the panel of guests, and we'd be able to answer that for you. And also, thank you. I'll give a special shout out for sending that super chat donation. Thank you so much. But real quick, we'll get it started, y'all. Let's start the show. And let me introduce these beautiful guests real quick. So if you guys can go ahead and introduce yourself real quick. What's your name, your age, your possible age, if you guys give an estimate, if you want to. And what do you do? And what is the relationship status? So I'll start with Gloria. Go ahead, Gloria. Introduce yourself real quick.
Hi, everyone. My name is Gloria. I go by Glowstick, GLOSTIK_XO. I'm 26-year-old. I'm a marketing manager in LA, and I am currently single.
All right, nice. She is single, y'all. She is single.
And hot.
Oh, all right. If you want to shoot your shot, drop a comment. Let me know. All right. All right. Go ahead, Leanna. Can you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Yeah. Hi, I'm Leanna Joan. I am almost about to turn 35 next week. And I am the host and creator of a podcast called Hello and Goodbye. It's a relationship and dating podcast. You can find us on Instagram at Hello and Goodbye Podcast. And I also teach piano and I also teach yoga. And I've been dog sitting just to get my dog fixed as well.
All right.
Oh,
nice.
And I'm single.
All right. Yeah. All right. So 2 out of 2 so far, y'all. Thank you so much, Leanna. Thank you so much for joining. Excited to have you part of the show. And last but not least, go ahead, Jared. Introduce yourself real quick.
All right. I am Jared, co-host of the Hello and Goodbye podcast. I am 40. I work at a university. So I have a master's in counseling psychology and a PhD in education. And but more importantly, I have dated for a really long time, never married, no kids. And love being on the podcast. So I bring a lot of experience to conversations about dating and relationships. Yeah. So, also single.
Oh, nice. All right.
Free.
Not married, no kids. Oh my God, that's what every woman's looking for. All right. So
And a doctor.
All right. So
well, PhD can mean something else too.
Exactly.
Oh wait, are there explicit rules on this?
Oh no.
Oh, good. Okay.
Raw, unfiltered.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much, y'all. I really appreciate you guys. And yeah, I guess we have an all single panel tonight. So hope you guys are ready. So I will get right into it. So let me. So I guess the very first question I want to ask you guys. I'm gonna start. I like to start off hot. So I'm gonna just throw a hot topic out there for you guys. So to start off the topic, I'm gonna play a video real quick. I saw this video trending on TikTok, and then I'm gonna play it real quick. It's about a 15-second video, and then I'll ask my question because my question does relate to this video. So
Okay.
I'm about to share my screen with you guys real quick. Give me 1 second.
It's couch guy, isn't it?
No.
I would love to discuss that.
All right. Let me see.
Does it have to do with a broom and a pumpkin?
No. I don't know. So okay, can you guys see the video?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Have you seen this one before? Did you guys have you seen this one?
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So I'm gonna play the video. I'm gonna go ahead and play the video real quick, and then talk to you guys about it. Give me 1 second. Let me see, the volume is high. All right, let's go.
Turn it all the way up.
I don't want to hear, oh, why men always have to pay. Because women are the prize. I'm not going half. I'm not tipping. I'm not, oh, my turn. I'm not your girlfriend, okay? McDonald's don't suffice for me no more. I'm grown. I'm grown!
All right. Okay.
She's passionate.
All right, so I guess my question, because this is something I not only saw on TikTok, but I also see this type of discussions happening not only with my personal friends, but on social media. So let me ask you guys, modern day dating, who is the prize? Is the woman? I have my thoughts on it, but I want to ask you directly. Who is the prize? Is the woman the prize, or is the men the prize? And that's my first topic to open it up, right?
Okay.
So I guess I'll start with Gloria. Go ahead, Gloria. What's your thoughts about that?
I honestly think that no one is a prize. I think you go into a relationship and everything should be equal. I feel like that's what a partnership is. It's not like one is better than the other. I feel like in order to have like a successful relationship, you can't look at the other person as a prize, because if you lose them, then what are you without them? I feel like you have to be your own person. So I wouldn't see anyone as a prize.
Okay. All right. No worries. What's your thoughts, Leanna?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with Gloria. I think that maybe that video is a response to maybe someone not pulling their weight. And I think going into a relationship, each partner should come pulling their own weight. And if you feel like you're giving more, then there's going to be resentment there. And so in the past, like maybe she's given more and the person can't even pay for a dinner for her, and it's like an overcompensation thing. But I also think that there's this, I think it's like something like that, like who pays for dinner or who does this and who does that, like that has to be unique to the relationship. Like, depending on, like, I know Jared, my co-host, is, and tell me if I'm putting words in your mouth, but you're big on kind of what Gloria said, like a partnership, like everything's equal. Whereas me, like, I'm totally like, yes, but I also like gifts and I like feeling special. And to me, someone paying for me is a gift, but they're not doing it for me because I'm some prize to be taken care of.
I completely agree. And then also, I feel like if you are a prize, it kind of just sounds like a game.
Yeah.
I don't think anything that is a game is going to be successful.
Okay.
Because you're always just going to keep playing. And are you really satisfied to just like one prize? I don't know.
Okay. All right. And what about Jared? What's your thoughts, Jared?
Yeah, I mean, I think what Gloria just said about a game is really interesting, right? Like, so I was in a situation like this where I was starting to date somebody, and this was maybe like in the last like 6 or 8 months or something like that. And it became like very clear to me at one point, like, oh, like this is what this person is doing. Like we were both kind of like not super sure about each other. And at first I was like, okay, she started to say some stuff and I'm like, okay, because I think what Leanna said is true. Like effort is important, right? Like both people need to put in effort. But if the game, or if it becomes like a transaction, right? To me, like the prize is actually that like I'm willing to share my time and life with this person, and they're willing to share their time and life with me. And there's ways that we can learn how we like to make each other feel special and appreciate each other and do things that will make the other one feel loved and feel happy and everything like that. But when it becomes that like weird transactional thing, it just because I also like there's a question of like, well, how far does this go? Because if we want to go old school, like, you know, like the old school method of like the man always pays, also like people who believe that hold beliefs like, well, then the man is entitled to like sex at the end of the night or something like that, which I definitely don't like agree with. And I think a lot of people who are maybe still saying that the man should always pay and the woman is the prize or whatever, probably wouldn't agree with that part of it. But like that is the history of this way of thinking, is that it was a transaction.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I totally agree with what everybody says, right? That relationships have to be reciprocated, right? You have to be reciprocated from both partners. Both partners are equal. Both partners should be reciprocated in the relationship, putting the same amount of effort. But when it comes to today's modern day dating, because we're talking about modern day dating, right? Modern day dating where a lot of women are more independent now. You guys see it all the time. Women are out there saying, I don't need a man. I can do everything on my own. I would say for that question, and this is just my opinion, and I want to open it up to you guys at what you guys think. I think in modern day 2021, with casual dating, casual sex, the culture of casual sex, where relationships are not as traditional with the way our parents grew up, things are different. The dynamics of relationships are a little bit different now when it comes to modern dating. I would say that the prize would be, and I'm just saying this in a very practical way, would be a good man. A good man would be the prize because the men are the ones that control access to relationships, right? They're just saying that when a woman control access to sex, the men are the ones that have to propose. So one thing I do see a lot of women, especially from that girl, if you saw that video, you can tell that girl like number one, she had an attitude problem. She had an attitude problem, and in her mind was a prize. But the only thing I would add to it is, at the end of the day, if a woman's out there in modern day dating, if you're looking for a relationship, if you're looking for marriage, then that can't happen until the man initiates that. So if the man controls access to relationships and sex, I'm sorry. If the man controls access to marriage and long-term commitment, because he has the one to initiate, ask the woman out or commit to him, make it official, then I would say in today's modern dating, a good man, a guy that's reliable, a good man. I'm talking about, a bum. I'm talking about the good men out there. I would say the good men are the prize. And that's my perspective on it, because I do see a lot at this time, especially in today with modern women. And this is just what I see, like there's a lot of self-entitlement. Sometimes I see that I can do everything on my own, modern day feminism. I don't need a man to pay this. I don't need a man to do this. And I've dated women like that, but then they wonder why a lot of these guys are not initiating anything. So that's just my response to that video. But because I do know there's a lot of women out there who complain about this and this and this, but then at the end of the day, if you really want a man to come in and give you marriage, then you have to be able to do the things that you need to do to attract that man, because at the end of the day, he has to want to give a commitment. He has to be the one to propose. And if you're not willing to do the things to attract the man that you want, then nothing's going to happen. What do you guys think about that? Go ahead.
Will, I'm really curious, like, what is a good man to you? And I also want to know, like, is there a good woman, and like, what is a good woman?
Well, a good man, like, a good man would, a guy that's reliable. Honor, all the values of women look for. Like, I'm just talking about a good man would be, he's faithful, right? That's number one. He's financially stable, right? And he's financial stability. He's treats you well. He has good morals and values, and the type of woman that most women look for. But he has a job, as a career. He's in a position in his life that he's ready to financially support and have a family, and also he's faithful. That's what a good man to me.
Okay, what about like, is there good women versus like not good women in the same way you're talking about good men? And like, what is the definition there?
No, there's good women out there. I agree. Like, there's good men and good women, but the man has to propose, and the man has to propose and initiate the marriage, right? So you can be a good woman, but he has to be the one to propose if you want marriage. So that's why I
Okay.
would say, go ahead, Leanna.
I'm just gonna jump in here and say I don't need no man to get me to marry him that has to initiate a marriage with him. Going back to like, it has to be mutual. Like if I meet the partner, first of all, I have been married.
Yeah.
So I've been there, done that, and it didn't work out. And I did it the traditional way, and I did it with a good man. And if I meet that person again and we decide together, maybe he proposes, but I would be proposing back to him by being like, yeah, let's get married together. And I want to address one other thing, like saying the girl has an attitude problem is, I think, a little disrespectful to her, because one, she's creating a TikTok, so it's going to be exaggerated.
Yeah.
Two, we don't know what she's been through. She might have just had like a really traumatic situation happen to her, and she went on to be like, I need to like vent and I need to talk about this. And it's really important to her to be valued as a person, which it seems like maybe she wasn't. And so I just didn't like that.
No. I wasn't judging her as a person. I just judge her the content she put out there. So that was whatever she put out there. That's what was going off. I wouldn't say, but that's what her attitude. She was like screaming on the camera. I'm not saying she's a bad woman or bad person. I'm just saying on the attitude she was saying, her words that she communicated, that was really strong based on what I saw.
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay, so Will, you said that a lot of women you've dated think like her. So like, have you ever been with a woman who wasn't like that?
I've been with women who wasn't like that, but also been with women that was like that, right? So I've been with women who had this mentality that she didn't, that I was independent. I didn't, she doesn't need me. I can do everything on my own. And what I realized for myself was like, it's hard to be with somebody that doesn't, because to me, relationships is the teamwork, it's team effort. Like we do this together, right? So a lot of times when you date very independent women, it's always I. But for me, it's like, it's whenever you come in a relationship, it's no longer I no more, it's we. It's how we're gonna do this together. A lot of times what I realize, especially with modern women, I'm not saying all, but there's a lot of modern women out there, it's all about their independence. They're more focused on their individual, what they want individually, but I'm trying to focus on what we can build together as a couple. And that can be a very hard, that can be really, really hard to build a relationship with that type of woman if they care so much, or they've been independent for so long, or they care a lot about their independence that they're unwilling to give that up in order to make a relationship work.
I don't think you need to, sorry,
go ahead. Okay, I was gonna say, it seems like these independent women are being clumped up into one thing though, that are being portrayed maybe as something that they're not, or maybe what you might be experiencing is an avoidant attachment style. Like someone who doesn't want to give up their independence because they are really fearful of abandonment. Also, like you're kind of like agreeing with us really, because you're saying like, I want to be with a partner that wants to be reciprocal. And the women that you've met who are independent or whatever, like I consider myself a very strong, independent, confident, smart, college educated, driven woman. And in a relationship, I'm very needy. Like I'm nurturing and I want to be around my partner and I want to create that together. So I just don't know that. I just feel like maybe I'm reading this wrong, Will, but I feel like there's such a harsh like line of like all modern day, maybe not all, but modern day women and independence and blah, 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 blah. And you can't have both, but like maybe a different guy can, and you can't.
No. The one thing I have realized when you date very independent women, right? It's one, they've either been hurt before in the past. So what happens is if they've been hurt from the men, they were hurt out of one of the men in the previous life. So they're so afraid to be dependent on a man because the last man they depended on hurt them. Or secondly, they're very masculine. So they're very masculine women. So they don't know how to be feminine. So the good thing you said, Leanna, which I love what you said, you're very independent, which is great. I don't have any problems with being independent, but I'm masculine as a man. So as a masculine man, I'm always craving femininity from a woman. You're nurturing, loving, and vulnerability. So sometimes when I date these very independent women who sometimes they're very career oriented, very ambitious, they have very masculine traits. I don't get that feminine energy from them. And for me, it's really, really hard as a masculine man to connect with a woman that's masculine, because I'm looking for femininity from a woman. So a lot of times these women don't know how to switch that role. So I don't go be ambitious and be successful at work, but when you come home to a man, especially when a man that's very masculine men are looking for a feminine woman. And if you don't know how to make that switch like you are, you're able to make that switch and come home and be nurturing, caring for your partner. A lot of modern women can't do that, and that's why a lot of them are very, they're very successful in their personal life, but then they suffer in their personal life, especially when it comes to relationships, because they just don't understand that men, the type of men they look for, they're very ambitious, confident, and masculine men. Majority of those men are always going to be looking for the femininity of a woman. So that's. Go ahead.
What is your definition of a feminine woman?
Femininity, like masculinity, feminine women, nurturing, caring, loving, your natural biological nature as a woman, feminine.
I feel like even if a woman is career oriented, they still have femininity behind them. Like, I feel like they're still caring and nurturing in a relationship. I don't think that takes away from it. So like, what else is a feminine woman?
Every woman has their feminine side, but what happens is when they're very career oriented, you have to adopt masculine traits. Like you have to adopt the masculine traits where it becomes their primary trait. It's not the trait that they put off out there. So they're more like, you've met some women that are very men, like they have a very masculine energy.
But what is a masculine energy? Someone that's assertive and doesn't put up with shit?
Yeah, assertive.
I think that's a great quality for a woman to have. You just want a pushover.
No, it's not a pushover.
That's what femininity back in the day, the wives back in the day, I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but they literally did not have any voice. And so women are now getting control of their own voices and they're speaking up. And I think men are like, what the hell is this? Because they're used to women just being quiet and shutting up and just doing whatever they're told because they didn't have their own freedom. So now that we do, we can speak up for ourselves.
Well, I was going to say something about that too, is like, I've never had to like sort of, state emphatically to someone in dating or whatever that like, hey, like I'm independent and I make my own decisions. But that's like my own male privilege, right? That's because the world has never told me, and partners who I'm dating have never expected me to be like obedient and like just have this automatic assumption that if like we're going to if one person is going to sacrifice in their professional life for the other person's professional success, like that's always assumed to be the woman. Right. And so that's the history. When I see women sort of saying these things and like being emphatic about their independence, to me, it's sort of similar to like when people like, it's like when some people react to hearing Black Lives Matter by saying like, well, all lives matter, which is kind of bullshit. Right. Because you're like, no, there's a historical context here to that,
I want to clarify one thing. Well, when I was telling you like who I am, like I'm independent and strong, blah, blah, but also like I can be nurturing, and you said something like, I don't remember how you said like not every woman can do that, and and I just want to clarify that I am also horrible at relationships. I do not have it figured out.
Same.
No. It's the thing. What I'm saying is like, so masculine and feminine, right? So like, for me, is like I'm a very assertive person, right? That's my personality. So the thing is, I match better with a woman that's more agreeable, does not have the same personality. So if two people are very assertive and come together and have a relationship, it's gonna be that relationship is gonna be really, really hard because one of them is not willing to give up or willing to compromise. So that's why sometimes it's more natural for a man that's very masculine, that's very assertive himself, to be with a woman that's more feminine, more encouraging and loving and more accepting, because those personality traits complement each other. The problem is when a woman's very independent, ambitious, and she's driven her career, he meets a guy that's ambitious, he's driven his career, and they try to build a relationship. It's going to be really, really hard because their qualities don't complement, because they're both hard-headed, they're both ambitious, they're both assertive. They're both disagreeable. So sometimes the personality traits doesn't complement. That's why it works better if you're a man that's very ambitious, confident, assertive. It works better if you're with a woman that's more nurturing, caring, and loving, and really more accepting. I'm not saying that she can't speak up. Yeah, she has a voice, but sometimes if you're very assertive, you're not willing. If there's a disagreement, there's an argument. If there's some choices to be made with where we're going to live, where we're going to go, who's going to work, where. If two people are unwilling, both assertive but unwilling to disagree, then that can be a very hard relationship when you can just be with a partner that's willing to accept her role. And you know what? You're the breadwinner. You go to work, you do your thing, and that's what I've seen, because I've seen those relationships happen when both people have the same type of personalities, and it just doesn't mesh well together. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think?
Who was the strong, assertive, independent woman who hurt you?
No, not no.
Well, I mean, because I think it's interesting if you look at it, like you and the woman you showed in the TikTok video sort of have a lot in common, right? Of this, like, I don't like partners that aren't like this, and I need it, and you're both sort of projecting it out there that this is how partners of the other sex should be. So she has this idea of well, men should pay, and you're kind of against that. But at the same time, you're saying well, women should be more agreeable and feminine in the ways that. I'm not. All I'm saying is the type of the type of woman that most women want, right? The confident, masculine, ambitious, the guy that's financially stable, the guy that has something going on with his life. Those guys are naturally going to be looking for a more feminine woman. If a guy's very ambitious, very confident, he's willing to have a creating he's on his purpose, his path to create his life. He doesn't really seek out the same in equal partner, the same qualities that men look for. Men who are very ambitious, they don't go look for ambitious women. Men who are if you just take a look of all the men who are very ambitious in their life, they're not going out there and finding women in their same field or their same level of socioeconomic status to marry those women. They're always marrying down to the more feminine women. I mean that's just a natural observation if you look at those type of partners. There's I'm sure there's countless examples of that, but there's also countless counterexamples of that, right? George Clooney's wife is an amazing, sort of diplomat, global politics, think tank scholar, and so, yeah, so Will, I'm curious because I don't think you ever answered the question in the reaction to the TikTok video, but do you believe that men should always pay? I believe men should always. I'm traditional, so to me, men should always pay, right? But I don't. For me, but I don't want. But of especially modern day dating, I don't appreciate when women expect me to pay in a form of sense of entitlement, right? So I'm willing to pay because I'm very traditional. But when I meet women like her, say, hey, you have to pay just because I'm a woman. And I'm like, no, I'm going to pay for you because I like you, but I'm just going to pay for you if you keep reciprocating how I treat you. So if you treat, if I'm going to invest into you, I expect the same thing, but I'm not just going to pay just because you deserve that, because you don't deserve anything from me. I don't deserve anything from her. I don't expect anything from you. You don't expect anything from me, but if I'm going to do something for you, I expect that to be reciprocated. But sometimes a lot of women would be like, pay for me, but I don't want to. I don't have to do anything to earn anything from you, but you need to earn me. And I'm like, no. If you want something from me, then you should be able to do something for me in exchange. But that's what I meant from that point.
How about just doing things for each other out of kindness and not to earn back and forth? Well, you did this, so you better do this, and you did this, so you better. How about just hey, I love you, I'm going to pay for dinner?
I mean, I believe men should always pay. I believe men should always pay. I mean, I believe men should always pay. 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 I believe men should always Well, but that's how it should be, right? Like for me, it's like when I meet people, if I do something for you, then I expect people to have the common decency to reciprocate that. But some people aren't like that, especially when it comes to relationships. Sometimes people just expect, I expect you to do everything for me, but they don't want to do anything for you. But sometimes it does happen like that. But so I've seen that before. So when I meet somebody that reciprocates my time and effort without me have to say anything, that's the type of people I like to be around. But for certain people, go ahead, Leanna.
Oh no, sorry. I just want, if you're okay, Will, I want to backpedal on something that Jared had kind of come in with some comments, and you had said something about, you're a masculine man, and you know that you need to be with a feminine woman because two assertive people, there's not going to be compromise there, and you need the one assertive person to be kind of the head so that the other person can kind of just go along and be more agreeable. So what I'm hearing when you say that is you want to be in a relationship where your decisions are the made decisions and where your partner agrees with all of those decisions, which means to me that you don't want to compromise ever. You basically just want someone that's going to go along with whatever you say. And that sounds like a miserable relationship.
No, I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm going to be making all the decisions, but with what I'm trying to do with my life, right? With my career, with what I'm trying to do for my life, I'm not going to compromise. There's compromise to everything, but I'm not going to compromise on certain things. That's just how I am. Especially with what I'm trying to do, the things I'm trying to do for my life, my goals, and the plan, and everything I have laid out. So if I meet somebody that is trying to tell me, hey, you need to stop doing this, you need to stop doing this, even if that's what I want to do as a man, that's what I'm trying to do for my life, that's not going to work out because I'm not going to compromise for what I'm trying to do. So that's why it's for me, as I'm saying is, when I meet a woman that's willing to be more of a wife, who wants to be a traditional role. Because not the modern day woman, very independent. She just wants to be a wife. She wants to take home the kids. That's the one that's more suited for me because I'm going to do what I do, is to go out to be the breadwinner and fulfill that natural male role. And then she just be the supportive wife. Anything she needs from me, she can voice her opinion. I still have to compromise with her. There's certain things about the relationship with the kids that I'm allow her to, hey, you have the final say because I'd rather focus on these things. That's what I'm saying is, if I pair up with a woman that's as ambitious as me, who's as career oriented as me, that's trying to do things in her life, I know for a fact that me and her is not going to be compatible because she wants to go this way with her career, with her life. I'm trying to go this way, and I'm not going to compromise on that. That's why I'm more suited with the more feminine woman who wants to be a housewife, who wants to be home and take care of the kids, and that's going to be more suited for me. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
So
yeah.
if you are looking for that type of women, are those the women you're dating, or are you going after the masculine men hoping that they'll change to that woman? Like, what is your conflict that you're having with women you're dating?
Oh no, I haven't dated in a long time, but I think it was the last time I went on. My last serious relationship was like 5-6 years ago.
Why aren't you dating?
No, because I'm trying to do the things I want to do. So I'm trying to.
So maybe you're meant to just be single if you don't want to, because a relationship is all about compromise, like coming together. It's not just one person. So I feel like some people are better off by themselves if they only want to do one thing one way and no one else has a final say. Because if you get into a relationship like that, I feel like it's not going to be successful. There's going to be some form of resentment because some person's going to be living your life and not even having their own.
Yeah, but it depends on the person if that's what she wants to do, right? So there's a lot of women out there that like married men who are military, right? They always traveling and moving to different bases, but she just wants to be the loving, the one that stays home and take care of the kids. So if the guy's like, we're moving here for my next job, they're okay with that, right?
Yeah, but it sounds nice. But as I've seen multiple women get into relationships like that, and they kind of give up their life to raise the kids, and then they have like a self of like identity loss, like because their only identity is being a wife and being a mother, And then they kind of form like a resentment, like my husband's going out there making his own life. He's like moving up in his career. So there is like, even though they signed up for it and it sounds nice, after time, a lot of moms or wives kind of realize that this setup is not what it was set up to be. Like, I don't know. I just don't see it being that successful.
Yeah. I'm not looking for those women. Like, I'm looking for the woman that wants to be a housewife. That just wants to be the ones to stay home and take care of the kids and build a family.
But people change their mind.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of women that want to be housewives and then 10 years goes down the road and they're like, what the fuck did I just do? Or their husband forbid cheats on them. And now they're left without a career and the husband is off with his new wife. Like women, we gotta like, I'm advocating for women. We gotta like make it on our own because I would never want to put all of my eggs in one basket for one man that I don't know if he's going to be with me for the rest of my life.
Yeah, but the same thing goes for men. Like, you guys get divorced and then you guys take half,
But
like,
you guys don't have to worry about a career or not because you're just expected to have one.
No, but that's, but there's also child support. There's also alimony for that.
Yeah, as there should be.
Yeah, exactly.
Because
you're the father.
Yeah. The mom is over there taking care of the kids and figuring out what daycare they're going to go to or who's going to take care of the kids on the weekend. Like that mental load is way more than paying child support.
Well, the thing is, if you look at the statistics, like, 80% of divorces are initiated by the women. So it's not the men that's leaving the relationship. It's it's the women.
Yeah, because they feel abandoned for that long and they have to leave.
So the fear, that fear or that myth that men are gonna leave you, it's not the men that leaving, it's the women.
But the men are leaving. They leave the relationship, not like legally. They literally clock out. They don't put any effort into the relationship, and then the wife feels abandoned, and that's why they leave. It's not like the man leaves first.
Or how about the rhetoric that the woman went into the relationship being like, I want to be the housewife, and then realizes how miserable she is. And then that's why she leaves, because she finally found her voice.
Yeah, but she chose that man though.
Yeah, and she can change her mind.
Exactly. So even when you guys leave, then there is two child support, there is two alimony. So it's a risk from both ends. So there's a risk for the women, but it's also a risk for men. If you leave, then we also have a consequence as well. So it's not like there's a higher risk for women than men. It's the same, in my opinion.
Here, because this topic really infuriates me. Like, to be honest,
it's fine.
And the three of us, I feel like we're kind of on the same team here. So I don't want you to feel ganged up on. But
no, that's fine. It is totally fine.
I will tell you from experience in my life of the people that I know who have done what you're saying you want. None of them are happy.
Yeah.
None of them. I'm divorced. Other people that are close to me are getting divorced, finally finding their voices. I grew up in the church where the woman is supposed to be the submissive one. And, you can't be leader in the church. You can't do this, blah, blah, blah. Those women are miserable. Stuck in those marriages where they're just there to raise babies.
So let me ask you, Leanna. So you're saying that when you got married, right? You were in a relationship where you didn't feel like you could speak up and have a voice. Is that what you're saying?
I was in a different state of mind. I was more conservative, and I was told that I couldn't have sex until I got married.
Okay.
And I was having sex with this guy who was my first boyfriend ever. And I was also told that you date to get married. So we got married. I was 21 and got married. My dad married us. My dad was a pastor. And I, did the whole, Christian wife thing where you're supposed to, be the Proverbs 31 wife. And I tried cooking. I was horrible at it. And I tried being this like housewife. And then what happened is, and I mean, I was working too, but he was like, well, actually we were both working. It was fairly equal. He was, I don't think he'll ever listen to this, but he was naturally just a little lazy. So I really pushed him. And to be honest, I was kind of the leader in that relationship. And I just, as the relationship continued, I just kind of found myself more, and I found yoga, and I became a yoga teacher, and I started finding out that I was like this really sexy being, and that I had a voice, and like all these things that had been oppressed and suppressed for so many years. And my ex-husband didn't want that. Like, he didn't want me to be those things. And by the end of our marriage, he was like, I don't even know who you are anymore. And I'm like, well, that's not my fault, because you didn't try. And and obviously there's a lot of other stuff that happened. There's a lot of other, you know, stuff that I'm not going to talk about, that I haven't even talked about on our podcast yet. But, you know, I don't think it had anything to do with assertive versus non-assertive, or dominant versus feminine. I think what it had to do with was two people who weren't really compatible, and we just grew apart. But I mean, I would be miserable if I was still in that marriage. Yeah. And I guarantee you that he would be proud of me today.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I would say too, I mean, I would add to this, like, I think any relationship that is meant to last the long haul, where there is like a prescription of roles, like this is your role and this is my role, and like you stay in your lane and I'm going to stay in my lane, like that's just doomed to failure, like whatever you assign those roles to be, because roles are inherently like limiting, like you're boiling down a person's whole being to like just do these things, just be happy, just be loving and nurturing and feminine, and never get angry, and never, you know, like stand up for yourself or whatever. You know, and similarly, a woman saying to a man, like, be masculine, be assertive, like, you know, just say what you want all the time, and like be horny all the time, and, you know, like whatever it is, right? Like that's just not how human beings work. That's not healthy for anyone. And you'll like, people will eventually like feel confined and just need to break out. Like I've seen that. I've seen every relationship that I've witnessed that's kind of based on that idea, like not go well.
Yeah. I'm just going to say something real quick. I'm be real honest.
Go ahead.
Well, I used to be just like you. I'm really masculine, and I would have terrible relationships because I wanted to be the one to control. And I told my therapist this, and I was like, I want to be the breadwinner. I want a stay-at-home dad. I want him to raise my kids. I want him to do everything that I want him to do. And she's like, you don't want a relationship. You want a slave. And I was like, wow, it really put into perspective. I just want someone to like be my little puppet and do whatever I want to do. And that's just not fair, because they also have a voice, and this is a relationship. So they need to have one in order for it to work, because or else they're just going to be resentful. And that's how you end a relationship, is they just get fed up and then they leave. Yeah.
No, just to go off, I just respond back with what Leanna said. So Leanna said, like, in your relationship, your ex-husband he wanted the traditional woman, right? The submissive. Is that what you say?
No, I don't think so. I just think it kind of naturally went into the conservative Christian look. It wasn't really a assertive, because I probably was more assertive than he was, to be honest. But I think it was, Jared says, but it was more of just like a Christian role. It wasn't assertive versus like dominant versus feminine, or masculine versus feminine. It was just like Christian. Like, this is what a Christian marriage is supposed to look like.
Yeah, so the Christian marriage, right, is usually like the marriages where the man is a breadwinner and the woman is they stay home to take care of the kids. That's usually like the Christian.
Yeah, but it wasn't like black and white like that. It was more of like, we were both working because we were so young and we were both still in school, And to be honest, I had to push him to get his ass in gear. And I did it because I knew we both needed to do it.
Yeah. So was he financially independent? Like, was he financially stable?
We were like 21 years old, Will.
Okay.
There's no way that either of us were financially.
All right. So that's okay. So that's So that's the problem, is like when the man is not, that can be a big problem. If the man,
not the problem.
I'm saying that can be a big problem. That can be a big problem.
No, I mean, the problem was that we were really young and we should have never gotten married.
Yeah. Plus the year you're 21. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it doesn't have anything to do with like him not being the main breadwinner, because even if he started making all this money, which he not really, like, I mean, we were kind of equal all the way in our marriage. It still didn't work out. And even if he had made $300,000 a year, I probably still would have left.
Yeah.
So
because there's only so much that can cover like emotional trauma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You know, money and assertive don't mean anything if you don't have a loving, respectful partner who you can open up to about your needs and your feelings. And what I think what I've experienced on what you're saying, Will, is the men that I have dated who are more masculine, I don't get that from them. They don't want to know what my needs are. They don't want to hear how I feel. And when I do, they shoo-shoo it and I'm oppressed. And then what I do is then I protest and then they leave. No duh, you know? And like, I don't want that.
No, yeah. So it's just the thing is like when you I mean, that just, it depends on every relationship, but what I'm saying is like, just for men who are very masculine, they may not be the most vulnerable type of men out there, right? Because sometimes we watch these movies in modern times, everything's so romanticized. So a lot of women who think that, okay, men are supposed to be this like just open of emotion and feelings, but in reality, that those guys are out there that very ambitious, very locked into what they're trying to do for their life, for their career. Those are not the most emotional guys. Like for me, I'm not emotional, but I had to learn over time because I realized a lot of women today they need that. But my dad wasn't emotional, but my dad wasn't emotional. He barely showed any feelings to it. I rarely saw any feelings between my dad and my mom, even to me. But they're still together to this day. It's just, I think a lot of times now, especially with modern dating, is just because of not understanding the difference between men and women. I'm just saying is a lot of times when I meet with a lot of women today, they're expecting me to be this romantic type of person. And for guys are like, I'm not, that's, for a lot of guys, especially masculine men, they're like, that's not really what I do. But then if they don't open their feelings, there's a lot of women out there may interpret it as, oh, this kid doesn't love me. He's not caring. But that's just how men are, especially the type of men, the ambitious and very confident, the guys out there that's very financially stable. Can they be more open, and can they be more open to open their feelings? Yes. But I'm just saying is, if you find those types of men, there's a lot of women out there, they just understand it. They're very feminine women. They just know, like, oh, men are just the way they are, and they figure out to make it work. But sometimes, like, if you try to change the nature of a man and a woman, especially the very masculine men, that can be very hard because those guys that's just the way they are. If the guy's very feminine, he's more in tune with his feminine side, maybe you'll be emotional. But usually the guys are very ambitious and confident, the type of guys most women are looking for. Those guys are not very emotional, but the women who do marry them one day, they just know, oh, that's how my guy is. He's just very ambitious. He goes to work, he does his thing. Like, but they know, like, he loves her. But he doesn't have to, like, go out his way to be very open to it, to show her. They're just understanding between, he's a masculine man. That's just the way he is. And then and then the feminine woman understands that. But that's just my standpoint.
So, Will, I'm gonna sort of throw something into the conversation here, and then I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm going to challenge your definition of masculinity. Like, if you've ever read, there's okay book. I don't love it, but there's a book a lot of people like called The Way of the Superior Man by David Data.
Oh, yeah,
Have you heard of this book?
No, I've read that book.
Okay, right. And so like it sounds to me like some of your definition. So like David Data, for people listening, breaks it down into like there's like a level 1, level 2, and level 3, right? And that you can kind of like move back and forth and whatever. But level 1 is this very like, well, men are supposed to be men, and like we're tough and we don't have feelings, and like, you know, whatever. And these kind of like and what David Data says is like that's really that like acting tough and like not having feelings, like that actually most of that comes from being hurt and being afraid to be vulnerable, right? So like I when I talk with college men about masculinity and about things like consent and relationships and stuff like that, which is part of my job, right? We break down like the difference between being tough and being strong. Like the tough guy is like so terrified that someone's going to like question his masculinity, right? Like he has to like try to fight everyone if someone like if he thinks someone looks at him wrong, because he's so terrified that he has to constantly project this image, right? The level 2 is like, I think what you are like, feel like you're very much the opposite from like the level 2 is like the nice guy, right? Who's like very in touch with his feelings and like very into like people pleasing and those kinds of things. And like, I spent a long time at level 2. But then like level 3, what it means to actually be a truly strong and masculine man is to be able to be vulnerable, is to be able to like put your feelings out there and like do things that are scary, and like not like overreact if you don't get the response that you wanted or whatever, because you're solid and you're calm inside and you're secure in who you are, right? And so I would challenge your definition of masculinity and just encourage you to think about that. The question I really want to ask you though, since you brought it up, is like you mentioned some things about your parents' relationship. Is that is that the type of relationship you would want to have? Like, so like, you know, can you say more about like how you experienced their relationship, like growing up and even now, and if that's like what you consider like the model of a good relationship for you?
Oh, well, yeah. So what I'm saying is like, no, I totally understand what you're saying is like, you know, there's nothing wrong with men being vulnerable, right? So men being vulnerable, because I know that's something that a relationship needs, especially from the women. They need their men to be vulnerable, open with their feelings, right? But what I'm saying is, a lot of times, especially in today, that if a man doesn't open up, you know, if a woman needs me to open up my feelings to her, she can just communicate that to me, right? Hey, what's going on? And I can communicate that with her, and that's no problem. You know, I'm not gonna be tough all the time. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times, that's that expectation that I need to be like that every single time. And if I'm not, then there's something wrong with me. It's like, that's what I'm saying is, for a lot of my dad, he was very masculine, but when my mom needed him to be vulnerable, when she needed that from me, he did. But he wasn't like that every single day. Like, he wasn't that every single morning. He wasn't just coming home, you know, just being very extra nurturing and caring and loving. Like, he was very stoic as a man. You know, he went to work, did what he had to do, was a breadwinner. He was more focused on his responsibility to financially take care of the family, right? But if there was a time when she needed him to be vulnerable, he did. So what I'm saying is, like, for a lot of women today is this, I think because of they just, I don't know if it's the Disney Channel or watching this romantic movie where they just think that men should be romantic and be extra vulnerable. That's what they expect. But the thing is, that's what they expect from men, but they also expect that from men who are very like masculine. And when I say men who are very masculine, very ambitious and driven, the type of men most women want, you know, they want a man that's very independent, financial independent and ambitious. Those guys are just very driven in that type of mindset. Like, those guys are not the most vulnerable guys, but just because they're not vulnerable doesn't mean something is wrong with them. That's what I'm saying. If you need him to communicate that, there's a difference between not naturally being vulnerable, but in choosing not to be vulnerable. If a guy is choosing not to be vulnerable to his woman, then that's a problem. That has nothing to do with masculinity. That's just, there's something going on there with his past. There's a reason why that guy doesn't want to be vulnerable. That's some kind of trauma. So I don't mind being vulnerable if that's what my woman needs from me. and that's what she needs me to feel my love and to make the relationship work, I'll do that. But if you expect me to be like that 24/7, I'm not, because that's not who I am. I'm not gonna.
What's your definition of vulnerable?
A vulnerability, like show your emotions, be honest with what I'm thinking, what I feel, what I think about the situation. Like if you need my honest how I feel at that moment, yeah, let me know. Like that's like being open with your emotions. If I'm sad, if I'm depressed, you're just being transparent, like how of my feelings.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I'm just for me, like I don't like to talk about my feelings, because that's just the way I am. That's just the way I am. I like just to focus my head and go do what I do to put in and go work and take care of my life and my career. But if I do notice that that's something she needs from me, hey, like if she needs that feeling to communicate how I really feel, that's no problem for me. I'll open that for her.
But why are you opening it for her? Why not look at some of that stuff on your own for you?
Because usually the type of woman I like, the very feminine woman, they already like that already. So they're already open with their feelings. That's just their natural.
No. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. What I'm saying is like it to me, and tell me if this is wrong, but it feels to me like you feel the need to defend men being men, not having to show emotion and only showing it just to please their woman and all of this. And what I'm saying is like, and I think maybe Jared and Gloria might agree, is that like there's like men from childhood are taught to not show emotion unless it's anger.
Mm-hmm.
The only emotion that a boy is allowed to show is anger. If they start crying, they get told to stop being a wuss, right? So then men grow up and they carry this, well, I'm not allowed to show my feelings. I'm not allowed to express my feelings. And I have to put on this kind of like, I'm a man, I'm assertive, I'm going to be the breadwinner, because that is going to heal the pain that I feel. That rhymed. And what I'm saying, Will, and I'm saying this very lovingly to you, is maybe there might be some things to look at that you're holding on to like deep inside of you that need some healing, that you aren't ready to look at, because the vulnerability with your partner shouldn't just be because they need it. The vulnerability should be within yourself to help you grow and heal and become a better person and better version of yourself, and not just to fulfill an obligation.
No, I totally understand where you're coming from, what you said, but for me is I believe in biological differences between men and women, and for me is, and for me is there's a reason. Well, I'm not saying men are different. There's men, we have different personality traits between men and women, but the reality is it is important. I mean, men can be vulnerable, yes, that's fine, but there's a reason why men have to be able to lock away their emotions and be more masculine. Because the reality is, if a man doesn't do anything with his life, if men have to create their value to gain a relationship, and women just have to preserve their value. If a man is a bum, doesn't do anything with his life, no woman, like if he doesn't contribute to society, a value of a man is based on what he brings to society. If he doesn't do anything with his life, if a man doesn't do anything with his life, he's a bum, he's broke, and he's not ambitious, he doesn't do anything, no woman would want him, right? But if a woman, you don't really have to do anything. We don't really expect you to do anything. You can just have children, and you still have some kind of value in society, and men will still wife you up. And that's the reality between men and women. That's why it's important for men. That's why for me, it's like, it is important for men to be vulnerable, but it's also important to men to raise them to be men, because the reality is, if a man doesn't do anything with his life in society, society won't care about those men. Women will not date those men. And that's just the harsh reality men have to understand, that we have to do something with our life in order to attract what we want and also attract the woman we want. But if a man is unambitious, a man has no goals, has no dreams, he has no control over his feelings. His feelings are all over nowhere. He has to learn to be masculine, to control those feelings and put that into something, with his life, to do something, to create something with his life, and learn how to be stoic. And because you need that between the men, you need that in a relationship, especially from the men and the women. And that can be very harmful for a man. So to tell men out there, you don't need to be a man. You can be emotional, you can be vulnerable, just let your feelings. I think that's harming for young boys and it's harming for men, because in reality, when men grow up, they realize, oh, if any of these women are going to take me seriously, I got to do something in my life. If society's going to care about me, I got to do something that was like, women don't experience that, because you guys were just different. You guys just you always have to contribute to society because you guys can have children. Because you guys have children, there's always a place for you guys in society, and people will still love you, and men will still have kids with you. But if a man does not do anything with his life at all, and just becomes a bum, no woman will want that man. So that's why for me, it's important to tell men, hey, like, learn how to control your emotions, find your purpose, find something you're good at, and build something with your life and do something significant with your life. So not only you can contribute to society, but you also attract a good woman, because the reality is, if you're broke, if you don't have no goals, no dreams for your life, you're just a bum, no one's going to take you seriously. That's my standpoint.
And I think, Will, like, what I heard you say when you're saying, like, being in touch with your emotions can be harmful for young boys. Like, it sounds like you're saying what Leanna is sharing, like, her concern about, which is like, you're saying, like, yeah, just keep teaching those boys to, like, shove all those feelings down and just kind of grit their teeth and go out there and earn. When I don't know, like, I think even if that man gets what he wants, right? Like, he finds this sort of subservient woman who wants to just be a housewife and go along with all his decisions. Like, I don't think that's going to be a home and a family where there's love and where there's growth and where there's like, you know what
control.
I'm saying? Like,
what I'm saying is control, right? That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying to lock those emotions away. I'm saying learn how to control your emotions.
Yeah, and I'm saying the only way to actually do that is to actually, like, be vulnerable, like Leanna's saying, like, for yourself. Like,
that's control. Yep.
Look inside, right, and be willing to share your weakness with the people who you're safe with and things like that.
And that's why I said, like, I can choose to be vulnerable because I've learned to control my emotions, right? So what I'm saying is, there's a lot of men out there who never learn how to control their emotions. If something happens terrible in their life, they fail in life, if something dramatic happens, or they just know how to control it, and they just start weeping, start crying, and they just become a victim, become pessimistic, and blame this. So for me, it's important for men to learn how to control emotion. Okay, I just lost my job. Okay, great. All right, let's feel that emotion, but then let's get back on track in reality of what am I going to do to get out of it?
Wait, we haven't heard from Gloria in a while.
Go ahead.
I just want to hear from Gloria.
No, Lee, I actually don't have anything to contribute right now. I want to hear what Leanna has to say.
Okay. I just want to say that I want to be with a partner who, if they lose their job and they want to cry and weep on the floor, I would want them to do that.
No, I said let it out. That's why I said let it out. Feel your emotions, but then get back on track, right?
When they're ready, like, give them time. Like, why is there a rush? Like
because of life.
But the thing is, though, Will, is if you, like, being someone who struggles with mental health, okay, like, very openly, I talk about this in the podcast. I struggle with depression, with anxiety, with a mood disorder, and if I don't allow myself to feel the feelings, they are going to boil up in me and something bad may happen. So feeling emotion and allowing yourself to feel them for as long as you need to feel them is so important, because otherwise it's going to come out in other ways. It's going to come out on your partner, your kids, people you work with, your body, your physical body, it's going to affect you if you do not allow yourself to feel the emotions. And I think maybe, like, I'm sure that there's a middle ground to what you're saying and what we're saying, but it's hard to hear. It makes my heart hurt for you. And it makes my heart hurt for all of the other men that don't feel like they have to hold it together. Like they can cry for, 5 minutes and then they got to pull it up and then got to pull it back, because like, I'm going to stay with my amazing and one of my best friends, Jared, like he has a PhD. He's financially independent, extremely successful, athletic, smart, good looking, and he's vulnerable and has emotions, and he has it all because it's something that he's worked really hard on. And like, that's what I want, is like,
I know, but you have to understand the majority, right? So Jared is a guy that's, of course, the reason why he is, because he's gone through a lot of experiences and he's grown to be that type of man. But the thing is, if you want to look at the dating market, there's not a lot of Jareds out there. So I'm talking about the average man. The average man. So you're not gonna go out there and to the local bar and meet a guy like Jared. He's like he's a rarity. Like he's not the majority of the men you're gonna see. The average man, the average men out there, a lot of men out there don't have the control over their emotions, or it's out of the extreme, right? Like either he's very masculine himself, or those men out there have no control over their emotions and they're just very emotional. There's a lot of men in the middle ground, like for me and Jared, like we've learned, I take a lot of time to work with myself to be able to control my emotions. Because there was a point in my life where I was very emotional, but then I realized when I was very emotional, I made a lot of bad decisions. I made a lot of emotional decisions, bad decisions with my life. And I put myself in circumstances where it wasn't, that I shouldn't have put it, because I didn't base my decision based on logic, what's best for me. So as I learned to control my emotions, my decision making skills got better and my life got better. But the thing is, for the average guy out there, a lot of guys that don't know how to control their emotions. And if you talk to a lot of women, if you ask them, do you like I know Leannas said that you like a guy that's gonna cry and take his time and be vulnerable whenever he's ready to get out of it, then you're good. A lot of women aren't like that. A lot of women, if your man starts crying over his job or his career or something happened in his life, and he does that for a couple of days, for a week, or for 2 weeks, a lot of girls out there, he's like, man, my man's a bitch.
I don't think so. I've never
I'm not saying you. I'm just saying there's a lot of women out there. If the guy's too emotional, the guy's too vulnerable, or like, you know what, I need to go find a real man, right? And I don't have a problem with that either, because that's what women are naturally looking for. Women are always looking for a man that's very stoic and very masculine. Like, they want their men to be vulnerable, yes, but they also want their men to be able to know how to be very logical, pragmatic in their way. Because I've been with women. I've been before when I was very emotional, and with a lot of women, and for depending on the woman, that only lasts for a long time. But mostly, like, you know what, I actually prefer a guy that's not as emotional as you. So I think there's a fine line between it. But I think it's for men, we're naturally the sex that we're not really emotional like that. But that's why I say learn how to control it. Like, learn how to control it, because if you're too emotional as a man, we're just talking about the majority of women. Most women out there, they're gonna leave you, because women naturally want their man not to be too like, you can't be more emotional than your woman. If you're more emotional than your woman as a man, there's a likelihood that she might leave you. So women want so the thing is, women want their men to be emotional, but they don't want their men to be more emotional than them, because women always want their men to be the more stoic in the relationship. Because if you're more emotional than your woman, then majority of the time she's gonna leave you. Anybody want to respond to that?
Jared, do you want to go?
Leanna, would you, if your man was more emotional than you, would that be a problem?
I don't know. I mean, I think it depends on the person. Like, I can't think of what'd you say?
No, I'm just saying, it's like, if he was more emotional than you, I
don't think it has to be like who's more emotional. I think what it is like, when I'm down, can you be there for me? And when you're down, can I be there for you? And actually, Will, what I want to say to you is, like, you said something about how you were emotional in these relationships, and these women said to you, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is what I heard, that they wanted to be with someone who wasn't as emotional. And then you checked your emotions, got them in check, and then that seemed to work for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, but yeah, when I was open with my feelings, right, and that was a time when I wasn't really, I didn't understand what masculinity was. I used to be very emotional. I show my feelings, like I didn't have no control, right? So I realized that the attraction from the women wasn't there. But when I learned how to control my emotions and just be very and control my emotions, when I needed to be emotional, I will. But when I didn't, I could learn how to control it and just be that masculine presence. I have no problem with attracting women because I realize that's why women are more natural. They want that masculinity in their life because naturally women are the more emotional sex. So if two people are emotional in a relationship, that's not gonna be good. One person has to be more stoic in the relationship than the other. So when I realized is when I became more control my emotions and just be more masculine and be confident in how I exerted my emotions, I realized that's what they were craving for.
So
well, oh, sorry, Gloria.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, I just want to correct one thing you said. You said women are the more emotional gender, which is not true. Both genders are equally emotional, except for men show emotion in different ways.
Yeah.
Okay, Gloria, your turn.
Go ahead.
My question for you is, how were you showing emotion in these relationships? Like, what were you upset about, or what triggered you to like show those type of emotions to your partner? And then why did they not like that? Like, I just want to know what exactly you were showing or being vulnerable.
So when I was emotional, I used to tell women my feelings. Hey, I love you. All these extra feelings, like, because I was very transparent. I really appreciate you. I used to tell them, I used to check up on them. Hey, how you doing? I was just thinking about you. So those type of things. I used to just be open to my emotions. And what I realized is when I did that, they were just like, you know what? That's just too much vulnerability for me. Right. For a lot of women.
Like, who are these women?
Yeah, I think you might be choosing the wrong women, and that's No, because I've had that problem. Like, I used to hate men with all my life because I was choosing the wrong men. And then I just had this view that like all men were shitty. And then after going through therapy and like working on myself and finding out my needs and like what I need from a partner, I'm able to have better relationships and actually change my mind. Like, I finally was in a good one where we were both vulnerable with each other and I understood the guy's mindset, and I don't know, it's completely changed my mind about how I view men. So I think like what you need to do is maybe reflect on yourself and see what you're looking for in these women, and then find one that compliments you where you don't view them in this way, or they don't treat you like that whenever you're vulnerable with them.
Well, and to follow up what Gloria just said, Jared, Will was telling us that what he was finding is that when he was really open in these relationships, like saying I love you and sharing his feelings, that's when the women, didn't want that or whatever. And Will, I don't know if you remember when Jared asked you, like, who is the strong, assertive woman who hurt you? And like, do you feel like, can you narrow down to like one specific relationship of someone who really hurt you after you opened up your feelings to them?
No, there's no. I don't have any relationships where like I'm still holding on. It's everything is for me is a lesson. So there's nothing that's hurting me or stopping me from opening up to relationships. Like right now, I don't have a problem with attracting relationships. I just don't want to be in a relationship right now because there's so many things I want to do for my life first. And a relationship, which I know for a fact that I'm not going to give that same amount of attention to a relationship because I know right now at this point I want to achieve this. I have this thing I want to achieve for my life. I want it to be done, to be accomplished so much that I know I won't give her. It'd be unfair for me to be in a relationship with a woman right now because I'm going to spend a lot of my time doing what I love to do. And it's unfair for her. That's why I choose. But that's what I'm saying is I don't have a problem with relationships, but I do know that there's a fine line between a woman when a man is too emotional. And I'm not saying that there's some women out there who love that stuff, right? But I think that a man's masculinity must come first, and then the emotional part. But the thing is, if a man leads with his emotions, and then he's not working on his masculinity, on his purpose. Because during that time, I was emotional, but that was all I had. I had no goals, I had no dreams. I wasn't working on my confidence. I was unassertive. I had no ambitions about doing my life. So I was just leading off with emotions. But once I, you know what, let me focus on my purpose first. Let me focus on my confidence. Let me focus on being assertive. Let me focus on my plan and what I'm gonna do. Now I lead off with that, and then I can add on the emotion. But I'm not saying being emotional was a bad thing. The problem, just being introspective, looking back at it, is just that's what I led with. And plus, I was young, right? I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was young, so like I had nothing going on in my life, so I was just out there just being romantic. but that was it. So for me, it wasn't that being. But what I realized is, for a lot of women out there, like they naturally prefer guys that got something going on with their life than the emotional men. So that's something I just learned.
Why are they separate? Why are those two things separate? Like, why can you not be an emotional man and still, like, why are they separate? You're separating those two things, and like, they can
be saying that you can't have one without the other.
No. You can, right? But what I'm saying is just when you're focused on something to achieve something, and you're willing to sacrifice something, like there's a lot of times that you lock your emotions because you're trying to achieve something. Right. So a lot of men out there, depending on what your ambitions are, but for me, it's like I realize is like, in order for me to achieve something great for my life that's never been done before in my family, and I'm doing something I've never done before, it takes a lot of self-control and be able to master. You can't be emotional living that type of lifestyle, taking that type of path. You have to learn to master emotions. So that's what I'm saying is, if somebody that say just works a normal job, right? He may be more emotional than a guy that's trying to create an empire, because in order to do something great in life, there's a lot of hardship, there's a lot of struggle, there's a lot of failure, there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of haters. And in order to do that, you have to be entwined, you have to be in control with your emotions. So that's why sometimes the men who are doing great things in their life, they still have emotions, but they're not as emotional, available, or vulnerable as the men who just want to. I know there's nothing wrong with that too, but who just want to get a normal living, and they may be more emotional. But one thing I have learned with women is, like, if women had to choose between a guy that's living average life and a guy that's doing really, really great with his life, it's above the normal socioeconomic status of most men, most women would choose a guy that has a higher socioeconomic status. So that's what I'm saying.
And I mean, and I think there's lots of women who would agree with you.
Yeah.
And what I would say, though, and what I would want to say to young men who might be like watching this and having these doubts and not feeling great about themselves and not feeling great about the response that they're getting when they're trying to date, like, I would say the best way to up your dating value and up the even though this like sort of value thing is a kind of premise I don't agree with, that was like the transactional thing we talked about in the beginning. But if we're going to use that metaphor, the best way to do that and to attract partner, like more high quality partners, is to go to fucking therapy. Like, because the only way out of this stuff is through, right? And like to get you some like good male role models. Like I didn't grow up with the best ones. And so I had to go as a young man and as a young adult man, I had to go find those elders and those like adult male mentors, and the ones who said, who actually taught me that there's no such thing as like an emotional human being and a not emotional, like human beings are emotional, right? And if you're trying to suppress or control your emotions, like the way to do that is actually learn how to feel and express your emotions in a full spectrum of ways, including some ways that like people think of as feminine. And like the truest thing that I know from all the time I've spent dating and just as a human being on this earth is that you will attract people that are at your same level of like health and wellness and like comfort with yourself and like spiritual development and evolution and whatever, right? So if you're trying to like raise that up, then like raise yourself up And like, you know, and it's also great to like, yeah, like go to the gym, like that doesn't hurt. But some of that is actually like the mental health benefits that come from going to the gym and having a healthy outlet. But like having community, having other men that you could talk to and cry with if you need to, and whatever, I think is like hugely important. That's what I would want like all the young men out there to know.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you. All right. Yeah, that was a really good, interesting conversation. Yeah. So I just want to make it clear for everybody that's watching right now, right? So, like I said, what I'm saying is like, no, like there's nothing wrong being vulnerable as a man, right? Because that's what a relationship is all about. That's what women want. That's what men want. We both want to be vulnerable, but understanding what men go through, because this may be, I mean, like I said, like I know it's hard because women, you guys don't know what men go through, but for men, there's a different reality for us if we're too emotional. There's a different reality us if we keep making emotional decisions and we don't do something with our life, we don't build something with our life, we're not financially stable. There's a reality for men for not being to be very productive in society and for their family. There's consequences.
I think that reality only exists based on the partners that you're choosing who are like sort of saying to you that that's the reality. Like that is not the, like we have two women with us today who are saying like that's not the reality for them.
Well, if a man doesn't have a job, would you still date him, ladies?
Yeah, the last guy I dated didn't have a job.
I was gonna say,
it just depends on the situation.
I know, but are you still with those men?
The guy that I married, and he had a job.
I know, but
had a master's degree.
No, but are you, like you're saying, did those relationships work out to be the relationship you guys wanted?
Dated someone without a job, Gloria.
So but the thing, did it work out? Did it work out and everything was great?
Well, it also didn't work out with the guys who made over $200,000 a year flying helicopters, or the guys that got a PhD. Like it didn't work out with them either. Yeah, but I'm saying is like if a man doesn't have a job and he stays like that, there's no chance any woman will stay with him.
Men's problem. So the problem I think I had with the last guy I dated is that, and I think a lot of men have this issue with society, is that they're just trying to be validated anyway with society. So if they don't have a job, then they get depressed because they're like, what is my value to this world? And I think that's kind of what his problem was. And I couldn't like help him snap out of it because I did not care if he didn't have a job or not. Like I liked just spending time with him. Like that's what I value, is just quality time. So with the fact that he was like available, I like that. And I think in his mind, because he didn't have one, he was sad or depressed about it. And that's what I couldn't work with, is that
go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's the main reason why I couldn't go on, because he was still so sad about that aspect, or I don't know what it was, but that's the only thing that held me back.
But that's exactly what I brought to my point. Like he was so sad, like he never got out of his emotions to move on with his life.
But Will, I think what I'm confused at is like, why are these two things even being like together? Like, why do you, if you're emotional, why does that mean that you can't be driven? Like, because I feel like what you're saying is that you're saying like, well, in order to achieve what I want to achieve, I have to suppress my emotions a little bit. I have to control them. And like, you haven't like would you date someone who didn't have a job because they were too emotional? But like, I've dated guys that have had jobs that are also emotional. And
I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying there's like I said, it's not the same for everybody. What I'm just saying is usually usually the more money a man makes or the more money a woman makes, both the same. You have to be more pragmatic. Those people tend to be more pragmatic because you have to compete in order to make that certain type of income. And you can't. And those people, you have to make decisions, and you can't be emotional. You can't be emotional because you're gonna make emotional decisions, and it's not gonna work out.
But you can separate your emotions from your job and your personal life. Like that's just called like.
No, but that's the perfect world.
Compartmentalizing.
But in reality, is who you are in what you do with your life. That's pretty much who you are. Like you're not gonna be a different person. You at your work, you're not gonna be like how you are at work is gonna be the same when you're gonna meet somebody for the first time you go on a date. Like this is who I am. This is how I've been. So I'm not saying they can't be emotional. It's just men who tend to go higher in their socioeconomic status. They're more pragmatic. They're more pragmatic and logical than the average person, because you have to be like that in order to achieve a certain level of success.
Yeah, but Will, like you're all the way back in this transactional model where like men are in this marketplace selling financial security and an image of success, and women are selling fertility and beauty and obedience, right? And I think that's like a really limited model, and I don't know.
Yeah, I just go ahead.
No, I just think that honestly, the way society, sometimes I get really angry about the way society is set up and everyone's seeking validation in some form. And we kind of have to remove ourselves from society and find out what is it that we actually need? Like, what are you looking for in life where you have to shop your emotions and climb up the ladder and do whatever you need to do? Like, what are you searching for in this life? Like, how do you feel validated?
Yeah, and I'm totally with you, Gloria, because I think like it's so easy for us to misunderstand, like to mistake one thing for another. So like, I don't think it's actually true that like what women really want, like high quality women looking for a long-term life partner, is a man who makes more money. Now, what could be true is that a man who has a sense of his own purpose and is willing and able to like sort of dedicate himself and his energies towards a purpose, like, yeah, I think that's important. I think that's important for both men and women, right? And it's the same thing, like when you talk about sort of femininity and loving and nurturing, well, to me, that's very different than someone who's going to be docile and subservient. Like you're sort of mistaking one thing for the other. Like a strong woman who will have opinions is also the type of strong woman that can like hold the family together when like shit falls apart. You know what I'm saying? And if you try to get, if you try to get the one without the opinions, like it's a house of cards. You know what I'm saying? And I think what Gloria is talking about is this idea of like, I think because we've lost community and elders and all of these things in our culture, and because it's so like fucking capitalist focused, we are all empty inside, and we need like external things to make us feel okay about ourselves. Exactly. And as long as you live from that place, like it's just not going to go right for you. And by the way, Gloria, if you're still looking for like a house husband, like I am down. Let's go.
All right.
Will, do I have time to say one more thing?
No, go ahead.
Okay. I just wanted to address, we haven't really addressed, and Gloria, I'm curious of your thoughts on this too, but like the whole like women are here to make babies thing. And like personally being someone like, I don't know if I want to have kids. I don't know if I can have kids. And I think that's like a really oppressive thing to put on the female gender. And I just like, if we do have young women listening, like, that is not your main goal in life. You're not here just to give kids. You can be strong and successful without kids. You can have a successful relationship with a loving husband who maybe has emotions, maybe doesn't have as many emotions, like without having kids. And like, that's not our main goal.
I mean, for a long time, I'm the youngest out of three sisters. And I've watched all of them have kids, and it's kind of like made me change my mind about like, I love kids, but I never want that to be my life. Like it's very tough being a mother, and they're judged all the time on how they parent. Like it's just not a life that I would want to live. And so I wouldn't place I removed that value from myself. Like I'm not going to seek validation by being a mother. So. Okay.
So Leanna, I would, Leanna, so I would respectfully, Leanna, disagree with what you just said. I believe the purpose of men and women are to have kids and start a family. that's why I believe that's why we created for, is to build families and create and continue the family and continue the lineage and continue building communities. So for me, I think it is that's what we should be telling women, is to make having kids and starting a family should be a priority over success, over ambition. Because I believe that if you can have even for myself, like I can have all the ambitions I want and achieve all the success I want, but if I don't have a family at the end of the day, I know for a fact that I won't be happy, I won't be depressed. Like I want to be successful, but I'm not gonna sacrifice my success. If I meet the right woman, I want to make her a priority and be able to have kids and have a family. But the good thing about men is, like, I know for a fact, but men, like, I can still have kids when I'm 35, 40. So that's just the good thing about being a man, right? I can still have kids later.
Will, I have some really good news for you. We can have kids at like 70, bro.
Yeah. That's what I meant.
It's out there happening.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's the difference between men. But the reality is, for women, you guys, there's a biological limit when you guys can't have kids no more, which is like 35, or I think it's 35. That's when it starts happening.
It's like past 40. Thank you.
I'm just saying.
Technology where you can freeze your age. You can have them when you're 70 now. So
I'm just getting like, for like that around like the average age, it's when it starts declining, right? But I'm just saying is, I know there's that narrative out there for a lot of women, that agree with you, that would tell women that's not your primary role. But I would say that is our primary role, is to have a family. And like, we all grew up with families. Like, what's the purpose of achieving all these things and you don't have people to share with, you don't have somebody to grow old with, to build something with? And if you a woman out there and you're successful, you don't have kids, or you go past that age, because if you want a man, most men that want to marry you, they're gonna want kids too. So if you're not taking advantage of those years where you can have kids and you're delaying it, then it's gonna make it harder to attract men also, because most men want to start a family, unless you want a guy that doesn't want to have kids. But the rarity of finding a man out there that doesn't want to start his own family and have his own kids, I think that's not what the average man out there you're going to meet would want to start a family. I think it is important to tell young women, that's just my opinion, it's like, that's your purpose, is to have a family and kids.
Yeah, and I hear you, and I think there's a lot of people that agree with you, and I think there's a lot of women that agree with you too.
Yeah.
Will, do you consider yourself someone of compassion?
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you say to all of the women that found out they can't have kids, or they've miscarried over and over and over, and now this one thing that you're telling them, which is their main purpose of life, they can't even do? How do you get past that?
But like I said, that's not by choice. So so I have compassion for those women, because that's something that is out of their control. But choosing not to have kids. But you just
said that no man's going to want them.
No, I say it's going to make it harder. It's going to make it harder.
Okay, so women are going to be going through emotional trauma of losing kids or not being able to have kids, and it's just going to be harder for them to get wiped up.
Yeah, I'm not saying that out of compassion. I'm just saying is like, if the average guy out there wants to have a child, so if he's with a woman that can't have if he's with a woman that can't have it because that's just biologically that's the way she is, then that's out of the control. The man will still love you. Like if I marry a girl and then I find out later that she can't have kids because of some kind of biological reason, right? I'm still gonna love her regardless, and I'm still gonna live. Okay.
How kind of you.
Okay, I'm still gonna love her regardless. But if I had a choice between, if I had a choice between two women that can't have kids, but I don't love them yet. Right? There's no relationship, but I knew this beforehand. If I knew two women that I know that can't have kids, and one can have kids, and I would naturally pick the one that will have kids because I want a family. So that's what I'm saying. That's the reality. So if it's something you can't control, that's fine. But I'm talking about the women who decide not to have kids. It's by their own choice, and they delay it. And then once they hit that certain age, and then I do believe it does make it harder, because most guys that you're gonna meet, they want to have a family. They want their own legacy.
I want to maybe do some statistical analysis on what most guys is. But Gloria, what are you going to say?
I don't know. I feel like I'll still be able to find someone that doesn't want kids, or like the last guy I dated, he had kids of his own, and I was like, oh, that's perfect. I don't have to have them. Like, I feel like there's always someone out there that you can find that will meet your needs. So,
hey Jared, do you want kids, Jared, one day?
So for a long time, I was in this mindset of like, yeah, I definitely want to be a dad. And then when I actually started having like a really demanding job that involved like taking care of people all day, like 50, 60 hours a week, most weeks. Then I was like, the thought of like coming home and having a whole new set of people to take care of was like, fuck no. Now I'm like 50-50. I've dated women with kids. It's not important to me to have my own biological children. And that's the thing too, Will, like I think if I go into looking for a partner with like a scorecard of like has to have this and this and this and this, that's just not how life works. Like, and like, because even though I'm very driven and purpose driven in my life and in my career, like, I don't know if what I'm doing now is what I'm going to be doing 5 years from now. And I have no idea what I'm going to be doing 20 years from now. And so like the idea of like, well, I'm not going to marry you unless you kind of sign this contract or we both agree that this is where we're going and we're going to have this kind of life together. Like, I think I don't know, like that just doesn't feel like love to me. It's like, hey, something in my soul recognizes something in your soul, and let's like walk through this fucking adventure of life together. And who knows what it's going to be. Like, maybe we'll have children, maybe we won't. Maybe we'll, go live in the jungle, or like, who knows what the hell's going to happen. Right. Rather than being like, this is the plan. And if you don't have these qualities, or if you don't want this, then like, I don't know. I think there's something deeper than that.
Well, I think what I'm kind of like piecing together in this whole conversation is like, if you want these things and they work for you, great. Like, if you want to be with a woman that she's going to give you a child, she's going to be more submissive, she's going to be feminine, like, do it. But I don't know that it's the right thing to be preaching that rhetoric to all of the men, because it's pushing toxicity into our culture, when really what we should all be doing is having our own ideas, like Gloria said earlier, of what we want to do, like what fulfills us, like where do we get our affirmations from. And like, for me, I don't even know if I will be able to have kids now. And unfortunately, like, I had a really long marriage that didn't work out, that we had decided we weren't going to have kids. And then I went through a period where I was like, well, I don't know. I don't think I want to have kids. And then I'm like, well, maybe I do. And like, I don't know if I will have them or not. But what I do know is that my purpose in life was I was created by an amazing being who loves me, whether I fucking have a child or not, and will give me a purpose in my life of what to do. And I hope that we can all come away with this of like, what works for us. And like, let's not push that on other people.
Okay. No, I know. I totally understand. All I'm saying is, I don't believe anybody in this world wants to die alone. I just believe that. I don't believe anybody wants to live their whole life without a family, without kids, without a husband, without a wife. I don't think that's what we were created to be together. I believe men and women. Maybe that's my traditional or belief, but I believe men and women were created to be together, and we're better together than apart. And then we were meant to build something together, build families. So I don't believe anybody in this world would want to live their whole life, 70, 80 years of their life alone without a family to leave behind, to build something. And I mean, that's just, maybe there's people out there, but I think, that's fine if there's something. Well, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think anybody is like, I don't think anybody in their mind right now, like, I want to live a life for the rest of my life without a family, without kids. I think in life, we all present different challenges and we have different circumstances. Sometimes our life, depending on the decisions we make, depending on the circumstances or the life we're given, we may not be able to have kids or whatever the reason. But I think deep down, every single person in this world, if they wanted to manifest their dream life, or their like dream happiness, or what they want in this life, I think people would say that if everything worked out the way they wanted to work out, they would want to be in a happy marriage. They would want to be a happy wife. Would want to be with a happy husband, and we want to have some kids and a happy family. If everything worked out in life, but the reality is life doesn't always happen that way. And unfortunately, people don't get that doesn't happen to a lot of people. And I have compassion for those people. But I'm saying is, I do believe that everybody wants a family at the end of the day. I just can't fathom anybody saying, I just want to be alone for the rest of my life.
I don't think any of us are saying that.
Exactly. It doesn't, but that's why I'm saying that's why we should push that narrative. Hey, like, have a family, don't delay it, make good choices with your life. Don't be with the wrong people, be with the right partner, have great relationships, don't be in toxic relationships. Then you have a better probability of attracting a family, a good husband, a good wife, and some kids. But that depends on everybody's circumstances. But to say that, there's people out there that you don't need that to be happy. For me, I just can't see you live the whole life like that. That's just me.
Yeah, I think it's like the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think the second tier is the sense of belonging. I think people just need to feel like they belong to something. So I don't think, like, for me, I think I would be happy being single the rest of my life as long as I had like a good group of friends and I felt like I belonged to something more than just myself. Like I would hate being alone, but it doesn't mean that I need a partner. I think
it's you're saying that now, Gloria, when you're nice and young. I'm telling you, when you hit 50 and you hit 60 and you hit 70 and you have no one else to be with, that's when it's gonna hit. So it's easy now when you're younger, but I have aunties and grandmas that are like 50 or 60, they're alone and they're miserable. And when they were younger, like they had that mentality like, oh, I don't need anybody, I'm good. But like, yeah, it's good now when we're younger, like, but when the reality starts to set in, when you get old.
Well, but I mean, what I would say though is like, Will, I'm in agreement completely that love and connection and family and community is what gives life meaning. And I think those are universal needs, and that is universal. I would say though that like love and family and all of these things can take many different forms, right? I have friends who are gay. I have friends who have gay parents. I have, you know what I'm saying? And like, and also, and being family doesn't mean necessarily being in a romantic or sexual relationship. It doesn't mean, being related by blood. Like some people have to flee their families from abuse and all kinds of mistreatment and stuff like that. And then they have to go out and like find their real families. And that can look like what Gloria's saying, right? Like very close community of friends and, and I think those 50-year-old people you're talking about that are miserable, Will, are the people who have been convinced that like, if you don't have the stuff that looks like this, then you're going to be miserable. You know what I'm saying? Those are the people who have bought into the idea that it can only look one way.
Did we go too long?
No. The live's still going, but the recording. But as long as the live's going, you're good. I get it, but I mean, we can have families and everything, but there's just, for me, it's just like having a partner, intimate partner you can be with for your whole life, and it can be with you to the ends of your, there's a different, I mean, we all have connections with our parents, we have connection with our sisters, with our friends, but there's a different intimate connection being with somebody that totally understands and truly loves you, and also having kids with that person, building a family with that person. That's a different type of connection than anything you're going to feel from anybody else, even though you still feel it. And I think that, people who don't, and the thing is about life, everything, you have to work for it, earn it. So like, if you want that type of person, we have to make good choices now at this time. If I want that type of partner, I got to make the good choices now. But a lot of times the reality is people don't take advantage of their life. They don't make the right choice of their life. And then time runs out. And then that's the unfortunate reality for them once they get older. But I think it is important we have these type of conversations. We can encourage people to make, to take advantage of. If you do meet somebody they love, they take advantage of it, right? Don't take it for granted. Treat them right, because the reality is when we get older, that you want that person. So I think just modern times today is just everything's so materialistic that we're pushing people to accomplish all these things, social media, Instagram, everything. You know, we're so focused on the superficial, but I think at the end of the day, like for me, the most important thing in life is family. That's the thing. Like everything I do for my life is not for me. Of course, it's for myself because, you know, it's my self-interest. But everything I'm doing is for my family. I'm doing this for myself. I'm doing this for my future wife. I'm doing this for my kids. Like I want that. That's my dream. I want a happy family. I want a good, stable family. I don't want the family that the struggles I grew up as a child that I grew up that I experienced in my childhood. So I understand that type of family or the type of happiness I'm gonna get, it's not just gonna fall into my lap. Like I have to work for it. So that's why I'm putting so much effort now to make sure I put myself in a position to create that type of family, because I know I don't want to be, you know, that uncle. I want to be that lonely uncle. So nothing in this life is given. Everything has to be earned. So I'm working my best right now to be the best man I can be, so for my future wife and for my future kids. And I hope everybody has that same mentality. But that's something I just see a lot of old people out there, and that, you know, if you talk to them, they're like, when they look back at their life, I wish I could have done this. I wish I could have done this. I regret doing this. But, you know, the thing is, like, we need to take advantage of our lives and be better, and not only for yourself, for your partner, but don't prolong, don't sacrifice. If you have an opportunity to be with a great woman or a great husband, don't sacrifice that for something that society is telling you to do this, because at the end of the day, you can lose everything in your life, but the person's going to be left with you is going to be the people that really, really love, and that's going to be family. Family's going to, you know, money comes and go, opportunities come and go, jobs come and go, but kids and family, that's always going to be there for you if you're with the right person. Hopefully they don't leave you if your job leaves. So that's what I believe. I think family is like the most important thing.
Yeah, well, and I totally agree, and fucking keep going, dude. Like, more power to you. You know what I mean? What I would say is, like, the best investment you can make in, you know, building towards a happy future with a healthy family is actually like getting healthy yourself. You know what I'm saying? I tell everybody, like, go to therapy, meditate, like, read the books, like, do all the shit that you can do, right? Because, like, what you just said, right? Hopefully the kids don't leave if, like, blah, blah. I can tell you there's plenty of kids and plenty of parents out there that like that will tell you, like, being a breadwinner ain't it. Like, that ain't the thing that bonds people together for life. Like, and just being like the biological material of somebody, like, does not make them a father or a mother, right? Like, it's actually like being healthy enough to love and participate in that in a healthy way. Yeah.
All right, man. I wish I had a super button to, like, press right now to do what you just said right now, Jared. You said some facts right there. Woo, man, that time went by so fast, y'all. Yo, we need it's crazy how, like, Leanna said it best. We didn't even need a question. I just said one question and that just carried
I knew it.
The whole conversation. That just carried the whole conversation. All right. So we've come to the conclusion of the podcast, and just want to say thank you so much for all my guests, for you guys for jumping on. And honestly, it was a great discussion. We had our debates, we had our disagreements, but that's what I expected. That's what what makes it great. Is like we can all jump on here and share our perspective, and hopefully, like you said, anything that we said, that can fit somebody, can answer anybody out there what they're going through. So I guess the end of the podcast, can I just ask all you guys real quick, just let me know what was your take of tonight's podcast? What did you guys get from it? And we'll end up the podcast with that. So Gloria,
how about you start first? I want to hear what you learned. What do you take from this? What did you learn from all of our takes?
For me, what I learned is, like, that just the different, for me, what I saw was, like, the differences between what I think a lot of, because I agreed a lot of things you said, but I think oftentimes, because I'm really big on the biological differences between men and women, and one of the things I've just said, and a lot of times it happens a lot of my podcasts, is sometimes like a lot of the things that you guys said, and that was your opinion, which I respected. It was cool. It was even that's what you guys will say, but I see it, but when we come to reality, what I see, like, you guys were talking about emotional, men need to be more vulnerable, emotional, which I understand if that's the type of man that you want. But for me, it's just like, that's no, in reality, what I see or what most women are looking for it's different. But maybe, like you say, like maybe that's just my experience or maybe a different experience, but I just learned that for me, it's like, I just think that that's something that I just feel like it's not really taken seriously in today. And but it's interesting for me to see that what you guys wanted, and is that something that men should do, or in order to attract women, or is that something that men should like avoid? That makes sense. So, but it was interesting to hear your perspective on it, and because and also I like being challenged. So
oh, good.
That's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun. So that's what makes it fun, a podcast fun. But that was what I took away from it. Okay. What about you, Glo? What did you take away from it?
I took away, we are all separate people. We all have different needs. Mm-hmm. And I think whenever we're looking for a partner, we need to find someone that matches that need and not get so frustrated over like one person that you wanted that wouldn't shape their life into what you wanted. I just think you need to like do more searching. That's what I got.
And then Glo, real quick, can you tell everybody where they can find you? Because I want to make sure people can find you.
Oh, where they can find me? Yeah. I'm on TikTok. You can find me at GLOSTIK_XO.
Nice. Okay. All right. And plus you're single, so if you want to shoot your shot, send that DM.
I think Jared already shot his shot.
Oh, well, too bad, guys. All right. That's what happens in the Gobble Up podcast. All right, nice. All right, Leanna, same thing. What was your take?
I am actually really proud of myself.
Why?
Because this topic really fires me up. It's interesting. I've had like Jared and I were laughing about this because I've had like 3 very recent interactions with guys that like was like a romantic thing who all believed these things, Will, that you're talking about. And with each one, I learned more and more. And I kind of like in talking through, I was like kind of like be able to kind of figure out like how I felt about it and like how I could express myself. And I'm actually like fairly proud of how well I kept myself composed.
I saw it coming out. I was like,
because at the end of the day, we're all human beings and we all have been through our own pain. And so we're all coming to this with different perspectives and different emotions and different ways of controlling or not controlling our emotions. And at the end of the day, like you guys are all people that I care about now. And I wish nothing but the best for you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Leanna, give all of our plugs.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so go listen to our podcast, Hello and Goodbye. It's about dating and relationships and sex. You can find us on Instagram at Hello and Goodbye Podcast. You can find me specifically at _Leanna Joan. And my TikTok has like some really crazy stuff on it. It's at Leanna Joan. So feel free to check us out there.
Yeah, that's how I found them.
Yeah, you found us on TikTok?
TikTok, yeah.
Was it the threesome video?
Oh, no.
I need to go check your TikTok.
All I know was some crazy content. I like crazy. So I was like, oh, let me check them out. That's what I'm all about. And last but not least, Jared, what's your take?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I feel like we all agreed on that was cool is this idea of like recognizing actually that like the real value is not to be found like outside of ourselves, right? Of like looking for validation, like Gloria was saying and stuff like that, but it's actually like getting deeply connected to yourself, right? And I think, Will, I even heard you talking about that in terms of like, I think in some ways like that's the vision of like authentic masculinity as well, right? And so I'm just always a big fan of that. So I'm really appreciative of this conversation. I think it was fun. I hope people listening had a good time. And so follow all the podcast stuff. If you want to follow me on Instagram, although my Instagram is terrible.
It's the worst.
I don't do anything on there. I don't know. That's just not my thing. But I'm at the real Jared Rodriguez with an S. So thanks for having us on, man.
No worries. Yeah, everybody that's watching, thank you so much for all those comments. I see the comments are going live right now.
Are they off the wall?
Yeah, they have their opinions on everything.
There's some wild stuff happening.
I want to go read them.
I know. I'm about to go look at it.
I like it. One of them said, "Oh my God!" One of them said they knew that Leanna was about to explode. They could tell.
That's funny.
It was like I knew it.
Popping out of my forehead.
No, that was so funny. But anyway, thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys taking the time. And for all of you guys that's watching, thank you so much. And please, for all those the guests joining me, please go support their channel, support everything they do. I really appreciate them being on here. So please support them as well.